I feel like this is his legacy. Like, this is what he wanted to do post-career. And I feel like what he was going through, he wanted to make sure that no one else has to
You
go
don't.
through this.
Exactly.
And I think there's such a negative stigma attached to CTE that they just like block it out. Like, they don't even want to think about it. They're like, I don't want to talk about the brain. I'm just going to pretend that like there's no possibility that I can get this or die from this. And you have to feel like you have somewhere to go where you can work on your brain before it becomes where you can't. Yeah.
Welcome to Iman Amongst Men, powered by Shea Moisture Men. I'm your host, Iman Shumpert. I'm here with my big brother, Ari.
What's going on, y'all? I'm Ari, and today we got a special guest, special friend of the show, Bianca Stewart, and her business partner, Mel Brooks. Bianca was a fashion designer, or is a fashion designer.
Right.
She got her own brand, Jessie Queen.
Okay.
Successful entrepreneur.
Okay.
And Georgia Tech alumni.
Yeah.
Mel.
Rambling Rat.
Yeah.
She actually graduated.
Hold on, let me get through Mel's bio,
Let's
man.
go.
We got to introduce
Let's
the
go.
people to
I'm
her,
hyping
too.
them
Calm
up,
down.
baby.
We got
My
a whole
bad.
show. Mel, she worked with the United Nations Human Trafficking, correct? The NFL Players Union, and a vice president of the Gladiators.
Come on, Vice President.
Okay.
VP.
Yeah. Applause.
I used to watch VP.
Well, thank you.
VP.
I'll come back.
It's Switty Lane from
Veep.
Seinfeld.
No, Veep is what it's called.
VP.
Veep.
Which one is it?
She's the vice president.
VEP is the actual spelling of the show.
And
Yeah.
you called it VP.
Because she's the vice president. It's
Because
a
he's
short
got to
name.
make things be that aren't.
Is that not what it's for?
It is, but the actual show
She's
is
Right, it's
the
called.
VP.
The show.
You could just say Veep.
I just wanted to hype you up. Just make sure you put
Thank
the
you so
applause
much.
right
You know,
there.
I can do it again from the top.
No, we got it right. We ain't finna do that.
Hey, we
We
doing
got
a
it
lot of
right.
recording up, man. I need a lot of recording up, man. If I could give y'all just a little bit of a backstory. Taco, originally Bianca Stewart. We went to school together at Georgia Tech, and because we were the out-of-town kids during holidays, I think probably the most during holidays is when me, you, and Al really locked in. Yeah, me, her, and Alexandria Montgomery hung out probably exclusively ever since. Yeah. So her coming here now, played professionally in New York. Ari came and became my personal assistant, manager, and business partner. One of my best friends in the whole wide world, man. Like I said, when I played professionally, we all lived together in one house, and you see how the conversations used to go.
This used to be every day.
But it was incredibly cool to be around her and watch her actually graduate for me and Al, because me and Al didn't graduate. So her
Did it for
diploma,
squad.
yeah, her diploma is our diploma.
It's not.
And then in our professional world, like he said, she's doing Jessie Queen, and now I have begged her to come over here and help me with Centerpiece. So she's coming along to help guys, so the stuff will actually get done. Usually when we're all around each other, though, we laugh and joke a lot. A lot of shit gets done, and that's why I like being around her. Bianca and Mel here. We wanted to explore your journey of taking care of somebody that has CTE. CTE is something that we've now all been made aware of, but at the same time of being aware, we don't know what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? To be quite honest, like, we don't know what it is. We don't know the true trauma behind closed doors that they're dealing with.
From both sides, too.
Yeah, from what it does to the family.
The caretaker and the person being cared for.
We don't know. And though a very uncomfortable conversation, I think a very needed one. And yeah, I'm just hoping, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I hate making you all warm and fuzzy.
No, we won't. Not just yet. Dr. Mel, we can start off with, what is CTE?
CTE is not a disease. is not even a diagnosis, it's a diagnostic criteria. CTE stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or encephalopathy in it's a Greek word that means inflammation. However, it is neither chronic, nor it is traumatic, nor it's inflammation. So I have to take you a little bit back, we have to look at the neurons. So all the neurons literally look like a hand. They have an extension, and they have, dendrites that extend to make connection with the other neurons. They're covered in something that's called tau protein. So imagine that like a glue on top of the neurons. So when something happens, we're all born with tau. Every brain, healthy brain, we're all born with that tau protein in our brain. As we age, so from the moment, that we're born, that degradation of the tau protein start to happen. Any kind of trauma, could be emotional, psychological, or physical, could cause that tau, or I want you to think of the tau as a glue, to shed off and expose the neuron, like the wiring of the neuron. So it's literally like your brain is becoming unglued, and that the tau moves and accumulates on other locations. I'm European, I talk with hands,
Yeah, no
There is
problem. We do
provisional
too.
place,
Yeah, we do
like-
too.
So CTE
Mhm.
is not associated only with physical trauma. It's associated with so many things, and I'm going to enumerate them. But I want you to understand that when the protein, kind of exposed the nerves, it kind of then the wiring. What shall I say? Not backfire, but it's short fire. What was the word? Like when you have like
Short circuit.
short circuit. So thank you for that. So it's and this is where we start where people start experiencing change of behavior, like or they would experience some kind of a physical sensation of the. I mean, you're gonna see it, they can have tics, or they can have, they can sweat profusely, or it gonna manifest in some kind of a behavior or physical expression. I will explain it to you in a way that I've been trying to explain it to people. CTE is not the bullet, is the hole. So nobody dies from CTE. People die with CTE. It's not a cause of that. And for like a year, and now almost 2 years, of doing research with him and continuing to do research now as vice president of Gladiator's Hub, we have found that absolutely everything basically causes the accumulation of that tau protein, which then is measured by the Boston University. And then when they found tau protein accumulated in parts of the brain where it shouldn't be, they call that chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
So it's basically any trauma, like
any
emotional trauma.
any type of trauma, stress, when it comes
That's
to
crazy.
it is crazy, but it
So
the
it's
good
not,
news,
It's not just from them getting hit in the head.
no, not at all. If you're vaccinated, you can have CT, you can have tau. Yes, you can. If you have, I mentioned the childhood trauma, you can have, you can get that from alcohol. You can, I mean, all the studies, and they're all published on gladiatorshub.org. You can go and see them. Autoimmune disorders, can also manifest in tau, repopulation from one place to another.
So basically, if your brain is already inflamed, all of that adds to the inflammation of the brain.
Yeah.
It's like more hits to the head, and I don't mean physical hits, it's accumulation, it compounds on itself. So let's say you had a bad childhood, and then you had some kind of a traumatic, experience, or physical trauma. You started to play football, and then you get into a toxic relationship, so it layers out, and then you decide to
So then how
drown
did
your
CTE
sorrows in alcohol, that layers on top, and then you add drugs to that, or some kind of addiction that layers on top, and then, I mean, we can go up to Alzheimer and Parkinson, and it keeps coming up. So it doesn't, these tau proteins deposits are found in the brain of almost every person that you open their brain, you're going to find a tau protein. You're going to find some degree of CTE, as Boston University now classified like stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3, or stage 4. There are 4 stages. But
So what separates football players?
Yeah.
nothing. That's exactly the good news, that we actually, there is a bad news and there is a good news, it's not only about football players. Every contact sports, basketball is a
Mhm.
contact sports as well. Boxing, sledging, any
Mhm.
sport that you can hit something. You tell me one sport that, you just kind of, I guess, synchronized swimming.
But
just
how did
some-
it get so strongly connected to like NFL players?
Yeah, that's
I
Hold on,
think
before we dive into that, can we segue to let you give a backstory of
yeah.
Demaryius Thomas
why we're talking,
and
that
why
would
we're
be
even doing that?
Okay,
Would you like to? You want me to lead you up to it? You got it.
just feed it to
Lead
me.
All right. Since college, Demaryius Thomas and Taco Time over here, just shared a whole lot of time together, and sometimes we would all ask questions and try and really get in their business. Nobody ever really could.
It's very complicated.
Yeah, very complicated situation, I guess. We knew they cared about each other a tremendous lot, and this was my first bridge connection into anything about CTE. Like, Taco, can you just go into we've never seen what happens, like I said, on the other side of the door. Like when that athlete is dealing with whatever they're dealing with and then they close the door and don't want to talk to anybody and have to deal with something. So can you talk a little bit about your relationship with him and then just touch on the different stages that he was going through as far as how aggressive whatever trauma he was dealing with was?
Well, before I even like came to Atlanta to take care of him, you remember, like he sent me a video of him like falling down the stairs, and like
outside the stairs, outside the house.
the stairs outside of his house.
We're
It
talking
was
about
caught.
30 steps. We're
Yeah, it was
talking
caught
about
on like
5.
the Ring camera. So he like sends it to me in like a joking manner, like sends me like a selfie of him in the hospital, like his head bleeding, and then is like check this out, like this is what happened to me. And not knowing anything about what he's going through, I was scared just because I didn't know that he was like having seizures. I didn't know anything at this point. And it kind of almost, I said to you, I was like, it looks like he's hearing voices, right?
You look
It,
possessed.
it looked like he was possessed because he had like a panic attack. So he was like outside trying to like catch some air. And then he like looks up as if someone's like calling his name.
And he like turned looking.
And then he just like spins and just like falls down the stairs and doesn't like break his fall or anything. Like his body literally
that's
just, like,
scary. That's like the scariest thing ever.
But it was the
And
first time I realized how big he was. As he fell back, like you see how heavy he is.
and I was bawling crying because it's just like, what was that?
Yeah, no, that's scary. That's scary as fuck.
So I'm like asking him, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm good. Like, blah, 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 blah. He never says he's going through anything. And so I call his cousin and I'm like bawling, crying on the phone. I'm like, what's happening? Like, what's going on?
Is this the first time that you ever, knew or thought, or somebody told you that he's going through something, that he's anything else but in perfect health?
No one told me anything. I literally called her like, what is going on? Like something's.
You called
going on.
Mel?
I called his cousin.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, he just sent me this video. Like, what's happening? And she's just like, because he's very private. So it's like, she didn't know like whether or not to tell me. She was like, well, what did he tell you? I'm like, he didn't tell me anything. He just sent me this video and it's scary. So what's happening? And she just starts crying like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like sometimes like we'll be having conversations and like he won't remember like where the conversation is going, and then he'll start crying in the middle of a sentence. And I'm like, okay. So then I call him back and I'm like,
All right, what's up?
What's going on? Oh, he had a seizure prior to that too, or a few. I don't even know how many he had before I got there. But I called him. I'm like, you're having seizures. Like what? Like I'm coming to Atlanta. Like, are you okay? Like what's going on? And he was playing it off like it was like not that big of a deal. But I knew from his cousin that like
something was up.
Something was happening. Yeah. And before I even made it there, he had another seizure. And then that's when I went straight to Atlanta. I'm like, all right.
Was he still in the hospital or he was out?
He was still in the hospital. His cousin told me.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm booking a flight. Like,
Right.
I'm coming to Atlanta. And it's weird because it's not like it was anything like drastic. I mean, obviously seizures are very drastic, right? But when I first got there, like, you could tell that he was not himself, but I would never
thought it was that far.
Never in a million years would I think like this is
on his way.
Coming.
Mel, can you touch a little on these different stages that she's talking about? Like, is there a timeline from when the trauma begins and when you start experiencing, any of your motor skills whatever happening?
Yes, but it's individual. It depends on your life choices, since you would know that, let's say, I believe that his seizures stemmed for the car accident, because I know that he had a severe, like a frontal collision, like his head, went against the glass or something. So we're talking about prefrontal, lobes, which are very important for, they control the impulses, So, and then what choices like every person does, but it's also genetics, it's how strong you are, what is your lifestyle like, do you exercise, do you live healthy? So it's gonna be different for everyone. But my question is, why wait for symptoms to occur, to manifest, if you can do something should have been done right at that point. If you know that you're in danger, this is a good time to start preventing, start like early intervention, so to speak, so things don't develop, don't get any worse.
Yeah, but he didn't know like what to do. He didn't know like where to seek help. Like
most people don't know.
But
Most athletes don't.
This is the question. Me and my brother was arguing about it earlier.
Yeah.
What is the angle as far as what does seeking help mean? Because even when you just told me you described CTE, you basically telling me I got CTE. I'm low key listening to some of the stuff like
we all do to some degree.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like we can't. It damn near sounds like this is a cover up. Like the CTE is just to be able to place it over here, and we don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to figure out if an NFL player feels like. Because I'm just saying NFL player just because that's the athletes that I feel like get hit in the head. Besides boxers, I feel like they just get it over and over. So if you're seeking help, like she said, I don't know where to seek help. It's like if there's no is there just no diagnosis for what they're dealing with as far as that head trauma goes?
There is no. I mean, you have the diagnosis of brain injury and brain trauma and concussion, but those are not the same as CTE.
And then financially speaking, is it like a grip just to even get the help that you need?
That is the problem. That's why Dee and I started working on the Gladiators hub, which is all for you guys, not just by the title. He wanted to create a hub where we can bring all these services under one umbrella. So we don't send the person who is already in a poor health, or sometimes they're immobile, depends on what the trauma is, to send them like all over United States, to get a little bit of treatment here, a little bit of treatment there. We wanted to bring it under one place. And once you come to the hub, and he also insisted that is done under strict confidentiality. Nobody needs to know what is happening, and who is there and what treatment they're getting, so people can actually heal rather than, attracting unnecessary publicity. People unfortunately will pass behind your back, labels, they'll say somebody's crazy, what's wrong with them. We wanted to block that narrative so you can actually focus on healing.
Do
We
you
don't want to
feel
pass stress on stressors on top. But the thing is that we don't know where to start. We will know where to start if we know who we're dealing with. We know what your history is, and then you don't do one thing at a time. You do all things at the same time, because one thing that it's very important for brain recovery is time. Time is not your friend when it comes to, to brain function, to brain health. You got to act now. And our problem was that we didn't know what it is, where to start, what to do, what treatments are good for, what treatments, like we really didn't have any understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Can you
this,
speak on the Gladiators Hub and why you feel it's so important? Because she just touched on it a little bit of Bebe wanting that for that question mark that we have. Like, we have a big question mark here, guys, but we're all under one roof, correct? Can you just speak on the hub and why you feel it's so important to keep it going?
I feel like this is his legacy. Like, this is what he wanted to do post-career. And I feel like what he was going through, he wanted to make sure that no one else has to
You
go through
don't.
this.
exactly.
And I think there's such a negative stigma attached to CTE that they just like block it out. Like, they don't even want to think about it. They're like, I don't want to talk about the brain. I'm just going to pretend that like there's no possibility that I can get this or die from this. And you have to feel like you have somewhere to go where you can work on your brain before it becomes
Where you can't.
Yeah. How he was getting like antsy and like he couldn't like stay in the car for long periods of time, and like his seizures, like how is that in connection with what was
CTE.
going on with his
Wait, talk
brain?
about that though, because I think that's a little bit kind of what she's saying. It's those things that's what they have to report. They can't come in and say, I got CTE, but you could come in and say, I had a seizure.
Or you can say, I'm suspecting that I have brain inflammation, because what you saw is actually symptomatic of brain inflammation.
What-
brain
what is?
inflammation can be
Hold on,
diagnosed
what'd you
and
say
can
is
be
from sitting
cured.
in the car? From not wanting to sit in the car?
It's
Like
well, I mean,
anxiety?
Or the
the
seizures.
different triggers. Everybody has different triggers. Like some people have tactile sensitivity, fabrics. If wind, or maybe
Like he was
smells,
sensitive to smell,
or
and like his
to
OCD had
textures
gotten
in your
out of
mouth,
control.
food, and they're just different triggers.
So you saying his actual behavior just started changing?
Just the things that he could do, like literally we couldn't drive in the car for long periods of time. He couldn't sit in traffic. Like sometimes like he would try to drive and like get like fidgety because like he couldn't like sit still. Like,
But this was the second
But he
part
was
of the year,
driving?
right?
yeah, he was.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, at what point does somebody realize something like that about themselves to where because I feel
But
like if
that's
something
what
like
she-
that happened to me, I would just be, and I know I'm speaking outside the lines here, like I don't know nothing about it.
Without a doubt.
But I'm saying, like, if I woke up or like if what you just described, if I fell back and like didn't have control of my body for a long period of time, I would be scared shitless. I'd seek out as much help as I
You're talking
could.
about
I'd
an
be
athlete that dealt with
true.
every
No,
hit
no, no,
in
no,
the
no.
book.
True.
Iman is right, because there is so much ego and there is so much credit. It's
So
so
much ego.
hard. It's
gotta
the
think.
first thing
He
that you
felt like he got
experience
hit by the worst linebacker ever,
Yeah, I mean,
blindsided. He like,
it-
I fell back and hit my head.
you don't like sympathy. Like
He hated
like
sympathy.
it's almost repulsive. Like yo, I can handle this. It's just very hard. There is almost an identity crisis. And there is also kind of cognitive dissonance. Like your reality doesn't match your beliefs. It's very hard.
It sounds
for-
like weirdly, it's like that's adding to the stress. Like if he was to
Of course
stop
it
and
does.
try to,
Exactly.
reevaluate what's going on like he
Exactly.
should, it may scare him even more
Yeah,
and
then
he
he won't.
spiral off.
the public image, everything,
Mhm.
like people talk. He didn't want it to go to 2 hospitals, from what I understand from her.
Mm.
Like
And
He's
that
I
was,
mean,
so
and that
pissed.
was
no
my,
man wants
and
to
that
be
was my
seen as
issue,
a
though.
weak man.
When you tell me he has to go to a hospital or he has to get on the internet and find, he shouldn't have to do any of that. If you know that all people, like I'm just saying, if I'm the NFL and I see this happen 2 or 3 times to where I got people, fans on the street thinking my players are dying from CTE. If we learn about CTE to find out we all got CTE, it's just there's a snowballing bigger, faster. Where's the facility that they can go to where nobody has to know because we know they're prideful? Nobody has to see them. They don't have to pay for it. I don't care if we got to take 5% of everybody. Group economics, we was talking about just the other day. Yeah, with Al Harrington. Everybody take 5% of y'all check and put it to the side. But whatever these players are dealing with is real. And I hate that it has to be a flat line because, I'm victim to it now too because it's like, honestly, CTE to me was the reason a football player would end up hitting his girlfriend or his spouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was the reason he's taking his shirt off in the club and he want to bump into everybody. That was CTE to me because I don't have that many friends that are playing football. I only had the bridge to her, and I had to see it happen fast. Like by the time she's telling me, it's like a week and he gone, and I'm like, bro, I ain't even get to talk to dude like that. Like, man wouldn't even get on the phone. I asked to hop on the phone with him. Man wouldn't get on the phone with him. Like, can I come over there? She's like, no, I can't. You can't come. He doesn't want you seeing him. Like, I don't want to upset him. So it's like this is my first time ever saying like this CTE. Or whatever the head trauma is that's coming from what they doing with them helmets, they have to have something, bro. Like you're hearing it from her, you've heard it from plenty of players. They're prideful. They got ego. They don't want to feel like it's something wrong with them. Talk about it. What is it actually like taking care of someone with? I don't even want to call CTE no more. I want to just say taking care of somebody going through this brain injury. I really don't want to call CTE no more because if that's not the bullet, I don't want to do it. So
we have 2 people, one with CTE and another one with PTSD.
For sure.
Crazy.
As a result, without a doubt.
So now she got CTE.
If you love somebody, yes, without a doubt.
That's
My
crazy.
memory, I can't remember what I'm saying sometimes. I can't even remember like what happened 2 days ago sometimes. Like I just feel like I was just living in angst for so long. Like I was afraid of like so sorry.
Take a second.
Don't feel embarrassed, rushed, nothing.
Yeah, take a second.
I was just always scared for like what was going to happen next. So like a lot of his seizures like happened in his bed, so he didn't want to like sleep in his bed. So I would like make him a pallet on the floor and like sleep on the couch next to him so that he can like, because then he didn't know. He was like, well, maybe my neck is causing my seizures. So he wanted to like lay straight because he felt like whenever he had them, like he would get like this crick in his neck or he'd bite a certain part of his tongue. So he'd be like, well, just trying to figure out different ways for them not to happen. So just like, I would be afraid to like fall asleep too heavy because I didn't know if like he was going to seize in his sleep. Or like the first seizure I ever witnessed, we were actually asleep and I don't know how, but I just heard him like choking. It wasn't it wasn't loud. It was just like
breathing pattern was off.
Yeah. And I'm like, the lights were off and I just saw like his eyes were like
open.
like a deer in headlights. I'm like, oh, I'm like, what is going on? And then like everything was like shaking.
Wow.
So like I was just always afraid to fall asleep. So I just feel like I'm just always anxious. Like sometimes I don't even like know the reason for it. My hands will just start shaking or like I'll just like lose my appetite out of nowhere.
And living in the ask of the worst to happen.
Yes, like I'm expecting the worst to happen.
Have
all
you
the time. Without having no skills.
Have you learned
how to handle?
Have you felt like you learned how to take care of another person? Like if I was to just randomly have a seizure, would you feel like I know exactly what to do?
there wasn't really much for me to do except
Yeah.
make sure that he was on
It's
his
air
side.
passage.
Yeah.
And
So
that they don't bite their tongue.
but he like bit his tongue often during them.
Clench.
Yeah,
They used to tell us because I've
it's a
had
practice that has been
The spoon?
discussed.
not the spoon. They used to just say use your.
What?
They
What's
used to
the
say use
spoon?
your hand.
No, I
Oh,
used to
no,
think
do not- no.
that you like get a spoon or something to keep them from biting their
It's-
tongue.
That practice has been questionable, but usually they will say like put a towel or something that is a wooden that
Just
they're
can
not
block
gonna
it,
break their
yeah.
teeth
I'm just saying
against like
the
metal.
reason why I'm asking is because I'm looking at this as if I was behind and I was in the audience and I was like a girl dealing with a overly prideful dude that doesn't know what he's going through. And it's like, if you have to deal with that time period of him saying, don't tell anybody or whatever, for that girl that's dealing with what you're dealing with, like, yo, I don't want to go to sleep. And now I'm not getting any sleep, or I'm not, like, what do we do?
Or
Like,
even if I take a nap or he takes too long of a nap, I'll
See what I'm
like, put my
saying?
finger like, is he still breathing? Like just nervous
crazy.
at all times. He was even fighting one off one time. We went to the coffee shop and like he started stumbling up the stairs. That's when I noticed it. And then like I looked at him and I saw his face and he was just like, it was like it wasn't even him in there. So then I saw him like falling over. So I tried to like hold him up and I tried to like talk to him. I'm like, hey. Like he just wasn't like there. And so I called his cousin and his goddaughter on FaceTime, like, hey, look at his journey in Sweet Pea, like say hi. And he's like looking at it, but like smiling, like he's trying to like fight back, like he's trying to like get back to himself, but like can't. So I like try to walk him like outside down the stairs because I like he goes to this coffee shop every day. Like he had his routine. It was like 5 minutes from the house. And I knew that if he had a seizure in there, he would be like so embarrassed. I did not want him to like have one in there. So I'm like trying to walk him out. I'm walking him down the stairs and he's like he's not him, but he is at the same time, like trying to push me off, like don't help me down the stairs. But I knew if I let
Right.
him go, he would fall. So like I'm holding him up. And then like he's like doing, his head is like shaking a little bit and he's like grinding his teeth. And like I'm walking him and then somehow, I don't know what happened, but he was like a little better. So he's like stumbling to the car, like he's trying to open the door, but like he can't really grip the handle.
That's what I was talking about.
And then like he
scary.
opens the
When his
door.
motor skills tweak.
He opens the door. Now he's walking to the driver's seat. And I'm like,
To the driver's seat.
I'm like, please. I'm like, can I, like, let me drive. He's like looking at me like, this is the Cullinan. So he was driving the Rolls Royce. And he's looking at me like, not like, no, like getting the
What
passenger
happened?
seat. So I'm just like, I'm like, all right, because I know it's not a good idea, but I never wanted him to feel worse than he already did. So I'm like, hope we make it. If we don't make it back to the house, then it is what
That's
it is.
crazy. You just start adopting his trauma, like trying to do the right thing, but because she knows how he feels and how he would react to her just trying to do it, she got to eat it and be like, what if we crash? It's like she's sitting there
Every
nervous the
time.
whole time, dramatic, because she like, what if we crash? What if something goes wrong? I should have said something, but I can't because he gonna get upset at me, or he gonna lose his mind, or he may have a seizure just because he mad at her.
Literally, because that happens. Like if he gets too worked up,
Mhm.
They'll have a seizure.
he'll have one.
But think about it also, the impossible dilemma between the heart
Mhm.
and the head of taking care of him and preserving his dignity and his integrity. This is such a hard choice to
Mhm.
make.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to make.
Especially
you
when you
know?
love somebody.
Uh-huh.
And to try to somebody, it's impossible. So there is no way that you are gonna walk out of that
Mhm.
feeling guilt-free.
Mhm.
You're damn if you do, you're damn if you don't.
Mhm.
Extremely hard decision.
You saying like you had fearful moments. What actually like what's something that you learned that's like, damn, I wish I would have knew that when I first walked in and saw him have a seizure, like, or something that you read or something that you can feel like, so people feel like they're a step ahead. That's what I'm trying to get at. I want you to help a woman behind the scenes, or background player, as you like to say.
Just limit the stress. Like that's the number one thing that I could say.
The stress in their house.
Yes, the stress.
Period.
Period. Yeah, even in your relationship, like some things that you would want to say, just like you got to eat that, just bite the bullet. Like there were so many things that, like obviously in regular relationships, you go through things that I wouldn't even like say or bring up just because I didn't want him to like get worked up and then have a seizure. So I would just have to eat it. Like I would just be upset and just be sitting there like, oh, I just want to tell this nigga off one time.
How do you deal with that in post afterwards? Like, do you feel a way about that you never got to tell him?
What do you mean?
Like
Right.
you ever got to tell him you was acting a fool and I
Yeah.
ate all of
Or
that
you
up
just
for
say
you.
it out loud type shit. Like,
I didn't say anything.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying now, post, do you feel a way? Like you're still carrying
That weight.
Yeah, like, or do you feel like, no, now, like, learning about this is helping you?
Is there any comfort in it?
Yeah. Or are we just going to keep working until we figure that out?
No, I don't think there is a comfort, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, I saw this thing on Instagram where I thought it was kind of cool, where it had like jars and like this ball inside of a jar, and it's like the grief was the ball, and then like the ball didn't change the size, but the size of the jar got bigger. So basically, like your grief stays there, like it stays the same, but like as you grow,
Gotta go around it.
yeah, it minimizes.
What tools should athletes in full contact sports do to prevent brain inflammation from happening?
The first thing is self-awareness. Acknowledge, know that something is wrong with you. If you're a little bit off, or if somebody tells you something is off, acknowledge that may be possible. You don't have to say it's a fact, but acknowledge that something is off. Self-awareness. The second thing is second opinion. Have a second opinion. Because very often when it comes to concussions, say, okay, you have a concussion, have a 2 week in a dark room and you're fine. Have a second opinion. Do some testing. Then you also want to maybe consider what is your toxicology level. Let's say you're exposed to something, you don't, you want to find if something mechanical is causing brain inflammation. Absolutely reduce the level of stress. Life is gonna happen, but for you right now, life gotta move away. Right now, you
Understanding your
cannot.
triggers too, I think, is
Absolutely,
important.
exactly.
Because I didn't even know.
So separate. You say, I'll deal with all this, but right now I have to deal with me. I just have to make sure that I have this under control. And then start investigating what are the possible causes. You start by the method of deduction. Cross this off the list, cross this off the list, because there are different factors for everybody. And after that, there is so many wonderful new technologies that could be used for maintenance of brain health. We're talking about lasers, and we have made a provision to have like a laser room, but the specific lasers that I have the information about. There is sound beds, there is meditation, there is a massage, everything that's going to reduce the stress, anything that's going to reduce the stress is going to be beneficial to reduce the inflammation. So if you deal with the stress correctly, until you're getting diagnosis, until you're getting a treatment plan or something in place, you might not even need a treatment plan after that. If you control the stress, you are reducing the inflammation, because stress is, if you think about, you have energy that is concentrated in one place, it's just stuck over here. So the tissues around start inflaming. They swell, they swell up to cool, the inflammation, the heat that is in that place. So if you take the stressor away, the trigger away, inflammation is already going down. But I think that, and first is deal with your denial. I know this is very scary to say something might be wrong with me, or I feel a little bit off, instead of cross, your fingers and hope it's going to go away. Take a moment and say, why don't I do something to prevent of what might get worse, later on? Just, even if there is nothing wrong with you, I'll still take a preventive measures to control it right now, even if there is nothing wrong with you. But if there is any kind of doubt that something is not all right, this is a time to take measures. So there is a lot of stuff that you could do, but you have to find what your particular case is.
So it can be repaired.
It can be
repaired.
It can be. Everything can be repaired. Everything that's broken, can be repaired. You find the cause, you find the cure. That's the principle. That's the fundamental principle of medicine. If you find the cause, you can find the cure.
Oh man, ask the question, the burning question.
We like to ask all our guests What are you working on improving in your personal life?
I am trying to just get grounded right now. Like, I just felt like I had lost myself for so long, and like sometimes I was having like legit like out of body experiences where I felt like I wasn't like inside myself, and I was looking around and like nothing seemed real. Like, I felt like I was literally in the twilight zone. And I feel like right now I'm just working on like finding myself again, like just feeling like I'm living like in a normal world. Like, I felt like things were not normal. So I'm just,
Trying to get back right.
trying to get back right.
Before we let y'all go, is there anything else you want to promote other than
Gladiatorhub.org.
Information can be found on the website on Gladiators Hub with the S, gladiatorshub.org. And I mean, we just want to have that ball, we want to push it and want to see it rolling, because it's about time. We can't lose any more people just because we're not doing something. We're doing something. Come support us. Come ask us questions. You can help us in any form. We want publicity. That's something that we want. Tell others. Come promote us with.
So we want the fans, the NFL fans, to tell your favorite NFL players to
Yes,
go.
or the other way around. I don't care. Just
Yeah.
carry the conversation over so we can actually start doing it. Because after somebody passed, there is always this question like, what's going on and why nothing is being done. Well, what's going on, we're going to tell you when you come, because we're actually doing something about that already. So we're ready to roll. We just need the public support and involvement. We don't. It's not only money. We want your actual support. We want you to care enough to do something. This is something we're working at the moment, right now, and we need all the help.
Thank you for coming, Taco. Thank you for coming, Mel. My bad, Bianca, Stewart, Mel Brooks. Can we get it? Hold on, let me give you some applause. Don't worry, in post, they'll hear it.
Thank y'all for coming out, man. We appreciate y'all.